Okay, this is reviewing documents with Acrobat. Anyone who has Acrobat installed on their machine, chances are it's the default application to open up PDF files. If it's not, it's probably a good idea to set it to the default. But once you have it, I have a basic window here. I'm going to use a case as an example today, a case I pulled from Westlaw. The basic toolbars that are available here, usually there's not much there, and you got to turn something on. Because in this case, we are going to be commenting and marking up this case. All the toolbars are available in the View menu. So View, Toolbars, Comment, Markup. Now we have the tools available here. Most of these are available with a right click, but if you like having buttons, then you can certainly use these. This is the sticky note. This is text edits for crossouts and carets and insertions and so forth. This is the stamp tool. This is highlighter, and these are a variety of callouts. A pencil tool, which is great if you have a really steady hand, and then a show button to show the kinds of lists and reviewers and so forth about who said what about what. I don't use that very often because I'm typically the only one that uses reviews the cases. However, what the first thing I do is when I pull a case from Westlaw, I always do it as a PDF, and I always do it so these links are still live. That is, they still pull up something in Westlaw. So if I'm reading along in the case and I want to pull a case, I simply click this. It'll ask me if I want to allow Acrobat to go to the internet. I always say remember this for this site, and I allow it, and then it pulls up that case in what it brings up my default web browser, which in this case is Safari, and then it loads up the case. We'll get back to that because it's still loading. It looks like Westlaw's servers are a little slow today, but we'll get right back to that in a second. So the first thing what I always do is I always download the cases with the head notes available with all of the key numbers, because I find them useful for research later on, but I really don't read them all that much because I like just skipping right to the case and reading that. So what I do first is I highlight opinion of the court, and I create a bookmark for it so I can get back to it very easily later. So whenever you highlight something, and then click Control B or Command B for me on a Mac. You can also right click. As you can see, if you right click it, this is Add Bookmark. You can use that as well. So that's the first thing I do. You see over on the left here, I have opinion of the court. So whenever I open this case up again, or I want to get back to the top of the case, I simply click that. As I'm going through, and I find something I want to get back to, I highlight it, and then I create a bookmark by either clicking Command B or Control B, or right clicking and selecting create a bookmark from the contextual menu. And then if I want to add further emphasis on it, I can highlight it, I can select it, and then click highlight text, or I could use the button up here. When I first started doing this, I used the buttons a lot, but I prefer now to use the right-clicking method and selecting the whatever I want from the contextual menu. So that's to highlight something. Of course, with the you could also add a comment to the highlight just by double-clicking on it. A little highlight, the little comment box pops up, and then you can say, look at this later. And then leave it in there, and then once you do that, a little comment icon appears, so later you know there's a comment associated with that. And then when you roll over it, the pop-up box comes. You can also, if you don't like highlighting, you can also underline text, and you can change the way that all this stuff looks. You just play around a little bit with it inside the properties. You can do that. Where the properties are, I'll show you that right now. The third thing I highlight, I use bookmarks, and I use these things called the sticky notes. The button form is right here. As I said, I like to right click for stuff, so I add sticky note, and I say, compare this to the Smith case. And this thing has a spell checker, which is nice. See the red line came up. And if I want to change the way this looks, I just go to Options, among other things, and I go to Properties, and then I could change this to something. You know, you may want to define a certain protocol for your office. You know, green check mark means one thing. A red, let's say maybe a a red cross means something else. Maybe it's good for your client, bad for your client. So maybe you have an associate doing something. You say use red check marks, use green and red crosses and check marks to mean certain things. So when you're scanning through something, it's easier to find. So that's the look at that. Couldn't find the server. Well, we'll get back to that. It normally pulls it up. We'll try it again in a second. So those are the three things that I use: the highlighter, the sticky note, and the bookmarks that I use to annotate the cases. And what I really like about using digital cases as opposed to paper cases is the search features. So in this case, let's say you want to search for Parsons, which is the officer's name right here, and we want to search for that. So we find next, and then we just click enter, and it'll find every instance where it's at where Parsons' name is. This is great to search cases for, say, a controlling case name to see where it's brought up. And of course, there's even a much better way for this to work is you click on the little caret next to the search box, and you can open full Acrobat search. And full Acrobat search will allow you to search the current document, any number of all PDF documents in a certain place. In this case, we'll just pick the current document, and we'll search for Parsons. And you can see it brings up 7 instances, and it gives you the context with which the word arises, which is, I said, great for. I use it a lot for finding different case names and so forth, among other things. And all these stuff applies to a variety of documents. So you close that out, and that's basically it. I think these things help save me a lot of time. We'll give this another shot here. We'll click on the Westlaw and see what happens with them. See if they're if this wants to cooperate. All right, so we're giving up on that, but it normally works. And there you have it. That's reviewing cases with Acrobat. Thanks for watching.